Jesus said something to his disciples once, and it just blew them out of the water. And what he said was, "Unless you eat my body and drink my blood, you have nothing to do with me. You don't understand me. You haven't figured out who I am. You don't know my message." And why would he use something so foreign, even and unnatural, to say to someone, take my flesh and eat of it, and take my blood and drink of it? The two things that are like, come on, are you serious? And they seem strange to us, and I will guarantee you they seem just as strange to the people back then. I mean, that wasn't something normally that you would ever do. So he used something shocking because the image that he was using was to awaken something in us that seems, to the ego anyway, and to a self-sufficient human being, totally shocking. You mean I'm not enough? Just me alone? With all the talent I have and all the gifts that God gives me, I can't do the things I need to do in this world to achieve the goal that God gave me? You mean you created me, gave me a job, and then you took away, or didn't give me in the first place, the talent to do it? That's what he's saying. You can achieve things that you're talented at. Yeah, but that's not the reason we're here in the world. We're not here to do great, entertaining, beautiful work. I mean, it's wonderful. It's a beautiful thing that human beings do. No, we're here to do something so much more terrifying and exciting. Could you recognize, believe with all your heart, that the one thing you're here to do, the one thing that is your impact on the world, can never be accomplished without God inside of you? But think of it, if you have a conviction that God is really working through me, and I not only believe it, but I allow it. It's one thing to believe in a mystery and something else to allow it to happen to you. And believing in God is so personal. I mean, we think we're believing in something or some reality. No, but if you think about it, if you believe in God, you're believing in who he is, and who he is a person like you, but fully divine, who manifests himself to us so we know who he is by looking just like us. So that means that God is like us. And then he comes up with this whole mysterious, crazy thought that I want to dwell inside of you. I want to enter into you. I want my blood to course with your blood, my muscles to work with your muscles. I want us to become so intimate that one can't tell whether it's you or me that is operating in each moment. And you're comfortable with that? I mean, to be comfortable with that means you'd have to be amazingly self-confident in your part, but equally self-confident in his part, and that you'd be open to be surprised. You'd be open to be shocked at times by what it is that he's using you for. And you know what? I think when it comes to the end of life, we always talk about some kind of horrible moment of being held accountable for every sin we ever committed or everything like that. I don't think that that's what it is. I mean, there's probably some kind of self-awareness that happens. But wouldn't it be amazing that you sit down with this God and you'd see him and he'd see you, and you start reminiscing about all the things you did together? Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be so wonderful. And isn't that what God promises? Wonder, awe, reverence. Reverence is that wonderful quality that we have inside of us that says, you know what? This is more than I ever expected it to be. It's more beautiful. It's more powerful. It's more, and even more scary maybe. But when you miss the more in your life, what a tragedy. If you end up just being caught in the mundane all the time, working to get the next task done. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of life. And I'm not saying life is supposed to be this ecstatic, happy thing going on all the time. No, it's not. It's supposed to be at times boring, maybe at times really exciting, but most of the time a very nice, calm, wonderful sense that all is the way it should be, all will be good, all will work out. There's a sweetness in that. It's called peace. It's called living in the moment, not worrying about the past, shame, anger, guilt, not worrying about the future, anxiety, worry, stress, but just sitting back, and just saying, you know what? It's Tuesday, 10 o'clock. It's Thursday at 4. It's okay. Everything's okay. You can tell the difference in a believer in the way they deal with interruptions, things that don't work out. Been on a plane once. I'm sure you've all been on a plane where they announce you think you're all ready, or you've gone through whatever horror story you have to do to get onto the plane, and you go through all those machines and everything, and then you're there, and they and now we're closing the gate, whatever, closing the door, and then all of a sudden you get this, oh, folks, we just heard from the tower that there's been a problem, and we'll just go out there and just wait a while. Watch people respond. Some people don't even notice it hardly. I mean, they hear it, but they're okay. And other people, you just see them, shaking their head, talking to somebody else, saying, oh, pick up the phone, make a frantic call, like this is all screwed up, and because they're living in a world where things have to happen, and maybe it's because they've arranged them in such a way where they have to happen one after the other, and if any one of them breaks up, they all fall apart. Well, that says a lot about the way you manage your life. But what about just living, just engaging, enjoying it, but knowing that when you're engaged in it, it's more than you being pleased, it's God being pleased through you. When he sees you see the world he created for him, for you, when you see it as he made it for you, he smiles. When he sees you judging it, angry about it, pushing it, repressing it, it's like, okay, so much for the joy that I have. Do you really think God takes joy in us? Does it make any difference? Does he have feelings? Is he happy with things the way they are? Well, the thing about God that you have to understand is the way he describes himself. He uses the word, and the only word I can think of, it's intimacy. So don't think about how God looks at the world or sees things like that, but just think about the fact that if he is who he says he is, he created you out of love, he has a relationship with you, he planned your life, he made you who you are, he gave you the family he gave you, he's got you here at this particular time in the world. Well, if that's true, you're here because he wants you to be here, and he's got a plan for you that is for you, but also for the people around you and for people that are going to be coming later. So his plan is always big, it's not some nice little neat thing. So think about it. When you're engaged in it, I don't mean working hard at it, or that you're engaged in the sense that you're open, receptive, allowing him to use you as he always intended to. I know that makes him happy. It would make anybody happy that creates something, that wants to see something good happen. Think about the intention behind God's creative actions. What is the only thing that we know about God? I mean, not the only thing, but the one thing we know about him is he's a lover. Frustrated lover at times, angry lover at times in the Old Testament, jealous at times in the Old Testament. But the Old Testament is God outside of us. The New Testament is God inside of us. Do you know how different that is? Do you know how amazing shift that is, and how glad I am I live in this time and not the old time. And not that I'm more valuable here than I would have been there. Everybody plays their part. That's what we're here for. There's a bigger picture. We're all part of it. I agree with that. I love that. Gets me out of my own self-centered little world. But think about it. We live in a time when God has done something in the world that shifted humanity into a whole nother level of being. We now, and weren't before, for 2,000 tiny short years in the history of this billion-year-old planet, we've been experiencing divinity inside of us that's never happened before. And we're just getting used to it, how to work it. Actually, what I would say, we're just beginning to believe in it. When Jesus dropped that, I'll call it the I bomb, intimacy bomb, when he actually said, I'm going to live inside of you. I want you to eat my flesh, drink my blood. That's the most graphic way that anybody could say, I want who you are inside of me. I want the life flow that's inside of you flowing inside of me. I want the bodily capacity of doing and accomplishing things in me. I want your intention in me. And the thing that's so beautiful about when God puts us in union with him, when the two of us are working together, there's no diminishment of God or us. We don't become less ourselves because we have a God working in us. We become more ourselves if God is working in us. Think about that. We have limited understanding of how the world works. Quantum physics has taught that more than anything else. We used to think that a mind couldn't change matter. Well, it can. If matter is made up of particles, which that's what they discovered and believed, that these particles that make up matter are influenced by our intentions. And that means the way you see something will determine what it is. I mean, that's frightening to us. It's kind of terrifying in a way, because you say, no, things are the way they are, and then there's that's the way the world is, and we don't have the power to change it. We can change opinions, we can change some things, we can rearrange furniture, we can build studios. But I love the image that I just came up with, which I've never really thought before, that there's a fear in a human being's ego because we love autonomy. Autonomous means that we want the world to be what we determine it to be, and it will run on the rules that we set for it. That's what we do when we were living totally in our humanity. Autonomy and humanity go right together. I mean, in fact, we're the only thing that God has created that has the potential of autonomy. I mean, birds don't decide to create their own reality. They don't decide that they're going to be really good at swimming and stop flying, or they're not going to shave all their feathers off and make some kind of public statement. They don't have that thing that we have of making free choices based on what we believe is true. They follow truth. That's what they do. Humans have been given this extraordinary freedom to not have to follow truth. We create our own truth. It's called autonomy. If we can create our own truth, then we can create the world that we want to live in. And when we do that, 99% of the time, the world that we will come up with is almost always going to self-destroy. It always implodes. Because we create systems, we create ways of being, we create ways of controlling people and think it's going to work. It doesn't. The only thing that works is humanity and divinity working together in the same place called your heart. In your heart, that's where he lives. That's where he dwells. And when he dwells in there, he and you together are the most dynamic, most exciting thing. I don't want to call it thing. I mean, what are we? We're force. When divinity and humanity are in sync, you are a force. And you don't need human powers to accomplish whatever you're going to do, because you're not limited by human powers. Can you use human capacity, human skills? Yeah. I mean, if God is going to ask me to communicate to you something that he wants you to see or hear, and he uses me, he's using my humanity. But if what comes to you through my humanity is a transforming, mysterious feeling that when you feel it, not think it or understand it, feel it, all of a sudden your body can change. Ever had somebody give you an insight and all of a sudden you go, ooh? It means like you feel it coming in. Or they give you an insight and all of a sudden, oh, you feel something shifted inside of you that was one way and now it's another way. Those are all images of this humanity-divinity duo. Without that, we are effective and nice people and we do nice things. And I don't want to be known for being nice. I'd like to be known in my own mind, let's say. I'm not thinking so much about what other people think of me, but what I would like to be thinking, what I'd like to feel about my own life is that it has enormous value. We do like being valuable. We do like having value. And we have value as a human being. In a way, we have more potential to change the world and also to harm it than any other creature that God created. So we have this freedom to be whoever we want to be. So, that's good. But nothing that we can come up with, nothing we can decide to do is going to be anything like that we could accomplish when we simply allow something.